Hi guys, welcome to our webinar from Tsquared Lab. I'm Renee, personal trainer in Tsquared Lab.
And I'm Jeffrey, personal trainer at Tsquared Lab.
Today we're going to tackle about what's on my plate. So in this webinar, we're going to talk about nutrition, the three M that we're going to talk about, and some micro habits that we could share for you guys.
Okay, so first up, what's on my plate aims to talk about how food is energy for our body, and we need that energy for survival. Okay, so first up, let's take a look what we have over here.
Yes, so we have here the three major nutrients that we have in the body, which is we have here the protein, the carbs, the fats, and with some packaging for like a plate food already. So for your nutrition, we give you some sources of protein here. We have the salmon, we have the beef, and we have the fish here. So for protein, it's primary for building block of your muscle, right? And carbs and fats is a source for your energy. And we have here also some source of carb, which is we have here is the rice, and
over here there's some baby potatoes, as well as baby rockets and tomatoes, cherry tomatoes.
Okay, so just to give you guys some variety or sources for this protein, carbs, and fats. So from protein, you can have a source from lean protein, which is the chicken, the fish, or you can have fatty protein, which is beef, and salmon is also part of the fatty protein, and tuna. For carbs, we have a starchy carb, which is rice, pasta, noodles. We have also some vegetables and fruit as a source of your carbs. For fats, we have the good source of which is nuts, olive oil, avocado.
Alright, okay. Cool. So as we mentioned earlier on what's on the plate over here, and how energy comes from our food so that we can survive. Now let's move on to finding out how to know the amount of energy that our body requires, as well as the nutrients that is important for healthy living. Okay, so first up, I would like to share with you this principle about energy balance.
Energy
right?
balance,
So,
yes.
We're talking about a balance of energy from food that we take in, as well as for our body's use. Okay, so first up, why with calorie, right? You might have heard it before. It's a measurement of heat energy, okay? And our body, in order to unlock the energy from food, which is chemical potential energy, will convert. Will utilize this calorie heat energy to break it down into smaller and building blocks, right? From a complex, molecular structure, right? It will be able to break it down into a simpler form for our body's assimilation and build and use. Okay.
Yes. So that's a great way to explain what energy balance is, right? Yeah, but so this energy balance, if you want to set a goal, you want to lose weight, you want to maintain, you want to gain weight, you need to set a maintenance. Estimate your maintenance calories, set a goal, and then prioritize. When you create your own meal, first thing you need to prioritize is your protein. At least 2.2 to 3 grams of per lean body mass of protein is the recommended intake of it.
All right. So first we prioritize protein in on our plate. As you can see over here, it takes up close to 50%. This amount over here. The fish and the egg takes up around 50% already. If we look at over here, this plant-based meat substitute called corn, right, takes up, you can see it's more than 50%, right?
It is.
And over here, if we look at our fish, we have tasty and really big chunks of it. Also takes up around 50%. So a general estimate, we want our plate to look like it's half full with protein, okay? And as what Wendy mentioned, 2.2, 2.3 to 3 grams per lean body mass. It's a more accurate way of allocating these resources to our body.
Exactly. So we just giving you a few sample of what variety of food we can offer. You see, we can give you fish or low carbs protein, low carbs calories, or we could have a plant-based protein. Or you can also choose wherever you want on our meal site that you prepare to do on your diet. So losing weight, or we're gonna give you some restriction of calories, but it's up to you guys if you're going to have it restriction on the food or on the time of it, like intermittent fasting, like that.
Awesome, really. This model that we call energy balance, right? I want you to think of it from a more practical standpoint as energy budgeting. So what we know of spending money, right? There is spending and then there is saving. Similarly to our body, the currency, right, is energy. Okay, so it's whatever that you do not spend, the body will store, right? And that is the automatic saving mechanism. Whatever is not spent will be stored, and eventually it'll be stored as what we know as fats. Okay.
Exactly, fats.
All right. So moving on, we take a look at how the body loses weight. That's what the number one question we all want to know. How to lose weight. First up, since we have already talked about the three main components of energy in our food, which comes from carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates, we know of it as the main source of energy, for our body. So we look at this schematic diagram, and you have to follow it. You have to follow the order of precedence, meaning which comes first. Okay, glucose. Is there enough glucose in our bloodstream? If it's yes, the body will use it as the primary source of energy, right? And if we find out that no, there is actually low blood glucose levels in our body, it will turn to fats as the secondary source. It will start to burn fats instead of consuming, muscle glycogen, right, which is the stored form of glucose. And that's all what we need to know. To lose fats, right, we have to we have to deplete, that muscle glycogen, which is in that, and to deplete it, we have to be in a calorie deficit. Okay, that's the only way. Right, and then it goes on. If there is not enough fats in our body to burn or to use for energy, right, it goes on to protein, and eventually, if all three components are lacking, we call that malnutrition. Okay, so on speaking about the breakdown, right, the simple form, right, we are always talking about breaking down simple form for our body to use. Our body is only able to use it from a simple form. So carbohydrates, the simple form, it's glucose, which is like a Lego piece, a building block, right?
Yes.
And what's being stored, what the principle of what's not being used will be stored. Glucose is stored as muscle glycogen. Now let's look at protein. Protein, the simple building block of it is called amino acids, right? So there are 21 different combinations of it, right, which our body will mix and match. Right? It's like a Lego piece. Like, for example, I want to build a house. I don't just use one type of brick, right? I need to use cement, I need to use marble, I need to use wood, and all these different variations will create a beautiful structure. That's what our body is a wonderful structure of all these different pieces. Okay, and finally, fats. The building block of it is fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, so these are, think of it as Lego pieces, different colored ones even, right? For the body's function, okay? Yes. So, Renee, I'm curious now, since we've talked a bit about that, I want to find out from you what's the use of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay, so let's go. Let's go over to the first slide.
Okay, so on that topic, so protein is to create growth and repair of human tissue, meaning to say it's more on building block of muscle. Then our carbs is used to energy and fiber from sugar and starch, and it's a source of energy, same as the fat, which is their ready to use energy.
Okay, cool. So now that we talked a bit about the
yes, so
losing
as
weight.
you talk about losing weight, guys, so we talk about this energy balance as Japet say what going on when you're losing weight. So when we incorporate this one into calories, when you are in the energy balance or when you are in your maintenance calorie, if you target to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. If you want to maintain your weight, the calories will be also maintained. If you want to gain weight, your calories will be in the calorie surplus position.
Okay. Yes. And talking about gaining weight, right? I'm not gonna, simplify it as a reverse process of losing weight. However, principles remain the same. Whatever is not being used will be stored, right? And it follows a certain order, So first up, we always look at glucose because that's the primary source of energy. So if there is a excess of blood glucose in our body, for example, if we consume a lot of potatoes, right? We consume a lot of rice over here. What is not being used, burned out, right? Burned off, from our activity will be stored in the liver, right? As a stored form of the energy, which is called glycogen, muscle glycogen. Okay, and when the liver reaches that maximum capacity, because there is a limit, right? The extra calories consumed will be converted into fats, meaning the surplus, the whatever that is extra,
yes,
right, will be stored into that form of energy called fats, and as it goes on, right, the fats will be distributed throughout our body. So, for example, when you wonder why is my tummy, so why is there it's big, fat? The fat is stored there for a purpose, right? Our body is very intelligent. It wants to protect our organs. So the main area of where our organs are stored up will be where the fat stores are being distributed.
Exactly, Jabin. So while teaching them what is this process going on, let's talk about the 3M that we want them to incorporate with their plate.
Okay, so the main practical handle for the 3Ms, right, is the first M is macros, right? As we already covered, the main sources of energy from carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Then the second area is called the measurements, which we also covered, calories in, calories out. That is a way of measuring the heat energy and energy balance, which is being able to plan, for the amount of energy that our body requires based on the food that we intake, right? And the final one, micro habits, Renee has a bit to share with me about it.
Yes. So guys, after learning what's supposed to be on your plate, like big portion is protein, remaining is your carbs and fat, you need to also learn how to make this one use it as consistency. So you need to build a habit of tracking your food. There's a lot of apps that you can use for free just to track your food. Like example, MyFitnessPal, just log in a specific amount of, example for this one. Because we have a calorie label for our food, so you can easily track how many calories you have per day. So what we did is, you can put, like for this one portion, it's 150 grams of salmon. So we will know how many calories of that in each food, and each salmon it is, how many carbs, how many fat is had. So what you need to learn is to track your food and be consistent of doing it. The next one that I want them to learn is if there's no available portion, like they have no time to measure their food, or you have no time to prepare it, you can use your hand as a portion control, right, Jape?
Okay,
so
awesome.
For portion control, basically, since the priority, our priority is the protein, we use our palm, this one, as the size of your protein. So when you eat out, make sure this is the size of your protein. This cup is half cup. This is the size of your rice, and this one is the size of your vegetables, and this one is the size of your nuts. So remember this portion control that you can use. Basically, where you travel or you are eating out with your friends, at least you know your calories, and you will know that you are on the good track on your food.
Okay, awesome. Now comes to the part where I'm curious how the food tastes like.
Exactly.
Renee,
okay.
Will you do me a favor? Let's compare. So we got a white fish over here, right? Over here. This is not a mukbang video by any means.
Yes.
We are
this
just
is
hungry.
Our exciting part that we're waiting for.
We're waiting for.
Yes.
We're looking at the food, and I'm sure you guys are also watching it, right? So, Renee, could you just do me a favor and try it. No, I want you to try.
Yeah, we want you guys to see that if you're preparing your food, it's not to be boring. It's not to be bland. It's supposed to be like this, colorful, okay, and a lot of
nice
spices.
smelling. Yeah,
as long as guys you track your food, you piece by piece you put it, you measure it. It's okay. Enjoy your food, guys.
Food is meant to be enjoyed. And
yeah, let's enjoy that.
And choose what you like to eat, right? So there are always options. Okay, so first up, I'm just going to take a small piece of this fish, right? And there's a lovely sauce over here that I can dip it in, right? So again, the sauce was not drizzled over the food. Another tip about again, liquid calories, right? In our gravy, there's a lot of hidden calories, right? So in our gravy, say. And that's why the practical tip is just to dip, right, instead of pouring everything over, because we want to have some control of it, right? So,
but don't worry, guys. This sauce is included to the 500 calories on the meal. So this one you can pour it. But when you go in to eat outside, that's a very good tips for them, not to pour but to dip only the calories. Because really, some client they will tell you, oh, I just eat small amount of food, but I don't know the reason why I'm gaining weight. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a food diary in which we track all the food. And the primary reason they gain weight is not because of the food, it's because of the liquid calories. They miss the thought that liquid calories is also have a lot of calories. Like what liquid calories you think? Like milk tea, they have Starbucks coffee. So a lot of calories that they miss to track. Okay, so be careful on that, on using your liquid calories. We advise instead of drinking high calorie liquid calories, you can have it in a coffee, which is 0 calories, tea, or water.
Awesome.
Yes.
When I was waiting for you to finish whatever you had to say, I want now, it's over here, the white fish, right? So we tried the fatty fish, salmon, while it's a red fish. Now we look at the white fish. So there's a difference in texture, there's a difference in flavor, right? And now...
They even offer for vegan, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's also a vegan option over here, right? As well mentioned, the cauliflower rice, right, which is the main source of carbohydrates. However, it's a non-starchy one, meaning there's a difference between starchy and non-starchy, which is the amount of energy content. Okay, so we look at the non-starchy option over here. Wouldn't you want to try it now?
Okay, I'll try it.
You're letting me enjoy this all to myself. I mean, good things you got to share, right? Okay, so this is comes to the end of our webinar. We have just been
we're gonna
show you some examples. There are always different options around, and we hope that we equip you with this knowledge, right? Insights to make decisions on your own moving forward. So when you think about what's on your plate, you think about it as, hey, what is the energy requirements for my body, and what is the important nutrient content, right? So there are always different options around, and a key takeaway for today is we're going to want to prioritize the protein.
Exactly.
Number one, right? And number two, we know that whatever is not being used in our body will be stored, right? So we would like to have the energy balance, meaning if we are, say that day we are not as active, a little sedentary, sitting down for long periods of time, and the portion size, you can actually modify it to something that it's a smaller plate. So for example, this is the size of the plate where I can fill up all my food. If on that day, right, I'm not so active, let me just reduce the size of my plate and store food, in that container, which is a smaller container, that I can finish up everything, and I know that, that is being controlled in that sense. Okay, and a final third tip, which I'd like to share, which is tracking, which is also really important, because we are in a way planning for our body's needs. So we know how much, have we already eaten in that day, and how much more are we able to eat, right? So these are my top 3 tips. Now let's hear it from this wonderful lady over here. What are her top 3 tips?
You summarize it perfectly. So guys, yes, just to recap, learn your macros, learn how to measure, build an habit. That's all. Thank
And
you, guys.
Thank you. What's on my plate?
Yes.
Yeah, bye. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed the session. Right now, sending your questions. We'll be really happy to answer them.
So we have one question. I have a friend and she lost weight just by dieting. Is that something you would recommend? Can you lose weight with just dieting?
All right. So the first
Yeah.
question that just came in, I have a friend who lost weight just by dieting. Can we just lose weight solely through dieting?
Without exercise, only on
Without
diet.
exercising, just dieting.
That's
Okay.
the question.
So I would want to address the part about dieting. Right, dieting is a strategy of managing our food. Okay, and being in a large calorie deficit, meaning if we are going to restrict the amount of energy based on the food consumption, we're going to reduce it. You will definitely be able to lose weight, right? Because we talked about energy balance. Food is an input into our body, right, and activity is an output. So if there's a smaller input and there is more output, wouldn't it make sense that something has to give, right? Something has to change, which is the body losing weight. So on that aspect, I would say yes. However, you would have a different look. What I mean by that is you will lose weight, that your body will look flat because you're not developing any lean muscle mass, right? So what we know from resistance training is it promotes lean muscle mass development. So by by diet alone, right, you can lose weight. However, if you want to achieve a more holistic, you want to look like you don't want to look so flat, and look like you have some, structure, like some form on your body.
Yes.
I would highly recommend doing resistance training.
Yeah, so to summarize that, dieting alone, you can achieve weight loss, but not on a toned body. And you can also fasten your transformation by burning more calories through exercise, right? At the same time, you're building muscle, your physique more, it's way more better looking than compare on diet itself.
Question here. Do you have any advice to share regarding the timing of meals in relation to the timing of workouts?
Okay, so we got a question, right? Do you have any advice relating to timing of meals in relation to timing of workouts?
Okay, so it's depend of us. Some client prepare the 1, 2, 3 diet, meaning breakfast, lunch, dinner. Some prepare have fasting before workout, or some have 5 meals in a day. The timing is depend of what you guys prepare. If you find this one works on you, you find more comfortable working out after meal or before meal. It's really depend on the person. We advise sometimes that you take 1 hour meal using carbs, because carbs dissolve in 2 hours. So that's a ready energy that we use during training.
Oh, that's a great answer, Renee. So just to supplement on her response, I would say we create a regular timing for our body. The benefits is it optimizes the digestion process, meaning the body, if you have been eating in the morning, 10 a.m., breakfast, you have lunch at 2 p.m., you have dinner at 7 p.m., your body will register. You'll expect, food to come in at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. over a period of time. So the benefits is the digestion process and the assimilation, meaning the nutrient absorption, would be more efficient as opposed to doing rubber band timing, right? But then again, our body also works under a threshold, so it isn't like we also respond on hunger cues, right? And all this is being governed by hormones in our body. So I would say timing would help to optimize the process of metabolism, if you think of it that way. And however, the body adapts very, very over a period of time. So your body can actually change. Yeah.
One more question. Is there any way to utilize energy from our food besides physical activity?
Okay, so the question is there any other way to utilize energy from our food besides physical activity? Yes, there is. So the calorie out is not just an exercise. You can have it on your neat exercise like walking or fidgeting. Also, when you're just standing or lying, you also burning calories. It's every movement you create burn calories. It's not just on the exercise. Like example, you can do running at the same time walking. They also burn calories, but with different energy level. Like you can burn more higher in running than walking, of course. Yep. And
Okay,
another
just to top up on this, the concept behind energy utilization, we can look at it from the first law of thermodynamics, which we all know, like energy balance is how it's being derived. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only can be converted from one form to another. So if you think of it, food contains a certain amount of energy. It's called chemical potential energy. So, and when we consume food, our body uses the heat, right? And that's why we know as calories to break down the molecular structure into simple form. So energy is being actually converted, right? So the only way when we are moving, right, there's kinetic energy and heat energy. That's how the chemical energy is being converted to heat and movement energy, kinetic energy for our body's use. So from that, from this principle, right, from thermodynamics, we know that energy can only be created from one form to another. However, energy won't be transformed to like light or sound, because that's irrelevant, right? Our body possesses, right, its movement as well as heat. So energy is being converted from one form to another in a very simple, in a very broad picture perspective.
Yes, so that's the three way you can burn your calories through your digestive system, on your heart rate, and through activity as well. Also, even fidgeting, you can burn on that.
Yeah, you just mentioned heat, right? The non-exercise activity induced thermogenesis.
Yes.
Okay.
One more question. I think this is the last question so far. What is the good time to consume rice as part of the meal during the day or dinner? Does it make a difference?
Okay, so the question that came in is, what is a good time to consume rice as part of your meal? During the day or dinner? And does it make a difference? So if we look at rice, what macro do you think falls under, right? There is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. From what we know, rice, it's a main source of carbohydrates. It contains a small amount of protein and it does not contain fats. Okay, if we are just generally talking about white rice, okay, or even there's organic rice, there's basmati. Across the board, rice is carbohydrates. That's the bulk of the macros. So the purpose for carbohydrates is as a primary source of energy for our body. So the question is, during the day or dinner, it depends on the person's lifestyle. If the person's active at night, say he's doing a night shift job, then I'll say yes, consume your rice because you need the energy to stay awake. However, if you are doing a day job, then I say, hey, let's meet your needs in the day, consume rice a bigger portion in the day. So it depends on your energy requirements. If you're going to be active, when you're going to be active, consume more carbohydrates.
I think that's about it.
Oh,
okay, so it seems like we have come to the end of our Q&A. I hope that this has not only educated but entertained you too, and we hope for you to stay tuned to our upcoming webinar.
yes, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.